Hi class, for this particular problem, we have this given function, and then the given function, well, they want us to find it, and we're basically given a total of two conditions that need to be satisfied. Now, let me actually look at the first condition. So I'm just going to label it as condition number 1. And for this condition, you have to have an x and a y that happens to be, well, 1, 2. And then what we could do here is use the given coordinate points and technically evaluate them into the function. So that means that your y, which is technically f of x, must be 2. And this is equal to c, your a, and then technically your x is equal to 1. So a to the first. And I'm gonna wait a little bit to take a look at condition number 2, and then we can actually start solving for C or for A. On condition number 2, we're also given that x and y have to satisfy the following requirements. This is 2, 8. And you could also label them as x1, y1. In this case, since we're just looking at f of x and technically there's no y given, I'm just going to use the standard x and y, but you could label them ones and twos like when we did the slope. So for this particular problem, your y is your f of x, so that's 8. This is equal to the values of c, a to the second. And then on the previous equation, what I'm going to do is, let's see, let me solve for c. So technically solve for c, which actually happens to be the following. As you divide by a and by a, we end up with the values of c equaling 2 over a. Now, let me box this in because we're going to need it in a little bit. And then we're going to use that result and technically evaluate it with condition number 2. So evaluate c is equal to 2 over a into the values of 8. This is equal to c, a to the second, or 8 is equal to technically 2 over a times a squared. And then your a's are going to cancel. Well, actually not all of them, but one of them is going to cancel. And then we're looking at 8 is equal to 2a, and then we happen to have a value. We can now divide by 2, and end up with the values of a is equal to 4. This is going to be, in fact, one of our solutions. Once we have that technically a is equal to 4, then the values of c is going to equal to 2 over 4, which is just a half. So the values of c is equal to a half. Okay, at this point, the actual function, and let me just write it as the exponential function, is f of x, and let me rewrite it as, well, in this case, it's going to be a 1/2, and I'm going to rewrite it exactly as it stated. The values of a happens to be 4 to the x. And let me fix the 1/2. So this is our final answer. Now, on this particular problem, it's probably a good idea if we graph it. I actually graphed it in advance just to double check. And here you see the final result. As you can see, well, I wrote it exactly as we found it. And well, you can see that this exponential function, I'm just going to put the arrows there, actually has the two coordinate points, 2,8 and 1,2. So in a quick summary, based on those two conditions, we end up solving a mini system of equations. That's actually it for problem 25.